This happened about 2 years ago. I was just getting off of work from an 8 in the morning to 2 p.m. shift at my job. It's a local grocery store, and I was feeling a little beat and needed a place to sit and wait for the bus to come. Normally, I used the bus stop closer to my job, but it was the end of the winter, and the bus stop I normally go to didn't have any benches out yet. And you gotta know, I needed to sit really bad. I was exhausted, and my back hurt from standing all day. I had to head up to the next bus stop, which was only 2 short blocks away. I sat there once before. It was peaceful and had a very comfy bench, and at the time I was able to get there with some time to spare. But in this case, I wish I'd stayed at the usual stop. I never saw it coming. I'm less than a block away from this bus stop when I see this man, a strange man. I'm guessing he was homeless, but I couldn't smell anything. I could tell right away that he was plastered, which was odd because it was basically the middle of the day. As I walked past him, he said to me, "Hello, friend. Do you have a one I can borrow?" I was kind of startled that he had talked to me at all. I just wanted to walk past and get to my bus stop quickly. I made up my mind and just intended to ignore the guy. I know it sounds rude, but this guy was very obviously drunk. He made Captain Jack Sparrow look sober. Anyway, I continued to walk by the guy, and I saw the bus stop dead ahead, when I heard him say behind me all of a sudden, "Well, fine. I guess you hate me." I wanted to tell him that I don't know him, that I couldn't hate the guy if I've never met him before. I've never seen him in my life. And believe me, I see a lot of homeless people where I work. I made it to the stop at last, and I sat down to my heavenly bench. But unfortunately, not 2 minutes later, who should stumble by to the bus stop? The homeless drunk man. He sits down next to me and asks me, "So, why do you hate me?" I was getting fed up and frustrated. I just wanted to relax. I didn't want to talk to this weird man. So I decided to speak my mind. I said to him, "Sir, I do not know you." I know this was pointless arguing with a drunk, but sometimes a man needs to speak his mind. He replied with, "But you still hate me." I answered, "I can't hate you if I don't know you, sir." "Then, do you want some vodka?" "Sir, I don't drink, not at 2 in the afternoon," I replied. "You're cute," he followed up with. "Would you please just leave me alone?" It was at this point I had realized another person had come to the bus stop, a woman. Since I didn't have a cell phone on myself, I went up and told her what was happening. She had apparently heard some of the conversation, as she was 1 step ahead of me. She took her phone out and began to dial the cops. When I turned back to the strange man looming over me, he was now holding the biggest knife I had ever seen. I mean, he barely had any clothes on. I had no idea where he pulled this knife from. It was one of those deadly-looking Bowie knives. "Aw, come on, why you gotta be like that?" he said, and he sounded really angry. And the look on his face told me he could do anything at any second. This guy was a crazy drunk. There's no telling what he would do if we set him off any further. Luckily, the bus arrived that very second, and I basically threw myself on board, along with the woman. Away from the man who didn't follow us inside. I don't think he had the capacity to at that point. The woman dialed the police, and I watched as the man passed out on the bus stop bench, the knife falling to the concrete ground. When I saw that, when I finally felt safe again, I couldn't help but think that that was a close one. I still ride the bus back and forth to work. That man may have been harmless, I don't know, but with a weapon like that, and with his judgment completely clouded, I wasn't going to take the chance. Thankfully, I've never seen that grease rat again. Be careful at the bus stops. You never know what kind of strangers you'll run into.
This story happened to me on my first day of high school. I remember walking down my street in the morning toward the bus stop. There were a few other kids that stood next to me talking. There was also a man who definitely didn't belong at a high school bus stop. He was tall, had a shaved head, a mustache, and a white tank top on. I thought he looked weird and out of place, but I really didn't give it a second thought. My first day of high school actually went fine. It was on the way home where it all went wrong. I got on the school bus. I saw the same man from this morning sat on the back of the bus. This time he was staring right at me. I didn't know then, and I still don't know now, how this guy even got on the bus in the first place. The house I lived in was one of the last stops, so by the time my stop arrived, most of the kids have gotten off the bus, and the bus was empty. I could just feel that guy staring at me the whole bus ride home, though I didn't dare to look behind me and check. When my stop finally arrived, I got off and I started walking. And of course that creepy man got off and started following me. I started walking faster. And as I did, the man got faster. And that continued right down my street. The faster I walked, the faster he would. It got to the point where I needed to start running. Thankfully, my house was close by. I ran by my house and slammed the door shut. And I looked through the kitchen window to see if the man was still chasing me. He was walking past my house like nothing ever happened, while staring at me. Later that night, I was upstairs in my bedroom when someone knocked at the door, the downstairs door. The next thing I heard was my mom calling me downstairs. When I get there, my mom is looking confused and checking around outside. I say to her, "Yeah, Mom?" She said, "That's weird. There was a man just here asking to speak to you." I asked what he looked like, and she described the same man who chased me home earlier that day. I told my mom about what happened, and how I was pretty sure it was the same guy who knocked at the door. My mother told the police and our school. And actually, this wasn't the first time they have heard reports of this. The school and the police said they had several reports of the man stalking their children. From what I know, he was never caught. Who knows what he could be doing right now? Just be careful.
I'm 15, only 5 feet tall, and I have severe social anxiety, so I don't deal with people very well. It was around 3:30 one day when I had to get my 6-year-old brother from day camp. Everything was going well until we got to the bus stop. I sat down at the bench and I started playing on my DS, waiting for the bus to arrive. Suddenly, I heard someone yelling at me, "Hey, you." I was confused, worried that I had done something by accident to anger someone. I quickly replied, "Yeah?" I turned around to look behind me to see who it was. There was a teenage boy waving at me. He asked, "Is that a DS?" I raised my eyebrow, lifted it up to show him, and said, "Yeah, it is." He then responded to me, "What game are you playing?" I smiled, thinking that he just wanted to have a normal conversation. I was antisocial, of course, and my stomach was in knots, but this would help the time pass by, and I couldn't think of a polite way to end the conversation. Anyway, as we talked, he ended up sitting next to me, but after that, that's when the conversation got a little bit odd and creepy. He was no longer asking about my games. Instead, he was beginning to ask personal things, like my age, my body weight, what I wore under my quote-unquote day clothes. What kind of questions are those to ask to someone you don't even know? I was beginning to nervously shake. I decided to just outright ignore him after that, hoping he would just forget about me and take the hint. Instead, he said to me, "You're really pretty. We should definitely be friends." I was freaking out. This guy did not have any boundaries. As if by some miraculous chance, the bus pulled up right then and there, and I anxiously boarded. But as I did, I heard him behind me, yelling toward me, "Goodbye, best friend. I'll see you later. I'll be waiting right here at the bus stop for you." I really don't know if this is scary in the average sense, but to me, it was horrifying. By the time it was over, I could barely breathe, and I was surprised I hadn't passed out yet. I never saw him again, but that may be because I avoided that bus stop. It's made me wonder, if someone has no social boundaries like that, what else are they capable of? What other boundaries are they not afraid to push at any moment?